All right, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our CPTC9 Wildcard announcement live stream. As we go through this stream, feel free to put questions in the chat on YouTube. We can see those on the back end and we'll be able to pop them up. So feel free to put any questions in the chat that you may have as we're going through this. We are more than happy to get those answered. If we can't answer them now, just due to the NDA and some things that may be held for finals, we'll be sure to keep that question internally. And then if we can answer at finals, we will happily do so. So that being said, thank you all for participating. As we go through this hour, we will be releasing the names, so please stay tuned and feel free to stay engaged. We are more than happy to work with you all.
Yeah, we could do some quick introductions. I'm sure you know who most of us are from dealing with us over the past several weeks or months or years or whatever that is. But we have multiple competition directors here. My name is Tom. I've been working with CPTC since it started. And I'm looking forward to talking to everyone over the next hour.
My name is Meredith. I'm also one of the competition directors. I have been with CPTC since 2019 as a volunteer. In 2018, I actually competed. And I am also looking forward to chatting with you all today.
Hand it over to Ro.
Hi, I'm Ro. I'm Director of Engagement for CPTC, and I'm excited to speak with you guys today.
And my name's Lucas. Like Tom, I have actually been involved in CPTC since it was just an idea. And one of the, I guess, chief cat herders as part of this entire process. So,
awesome. Well, we'll welcome everyone to our live stream wildcard announcement. And we have been eagerly working or tirelessly working or some kind of being exhausted since this past weekend, tabulating scores, working through everything we need to make this happen. So we're really looking forward to sharing this with everyone.
I will say that we're tired enough that we realize it's no longer November 15th as we put on the stream. It is the 16th.
You can tell I made this slide yesterday. So, but let's take a look at our agenda for today. We want to take the opportunity to take a quick look back at this year's regional events and some of the things that we did this year to make the event go as good as it could and also involve as many people as possible and teams as possible. We are going to have live Q&A throughout the event, so use the chat functionality to ask us questions. We will ask those. We're also going to talk a little bit about the global finals at RIT in January and what to expect, and also some key dates that you should keep in mind as you're planning for attending the finals event. And then what everyone's really here is the wildcard winners. With that said, do you think it would make sense if we announce one of the wildcard winners now?
You're the boss.
I mean, what do you think, Lucas?
I think we should just do it all together.
We do it all together? Okay. Well, there are going to be wildcard winners. We'll announce them. So, with that said, let's carry on. Lucas, I'll give it to you for the sponsor spiel.
All right. Well, as I think as we noted in all of the regions, we want to take the time to talk through the people that make this happen. And so certainly all of us and all of the volunteers are a very large piece of all of the effort that goes into it. But as you all are aware, there's one thing that it really takes for to make this happen, and that is both people's time and certainly funding. And so these sponsors are the folks that have enabled us to run this competition, to do everything from get the technology costs, build out infrastructure, license tools and services, buy your flights and hotels for everyone that's coming to finals, as well as help support actually several of our regional hosts through some small things and some organizations. So because of that, we want to take the time to step through each of these. And the first major sponsor that has been a partner actually since Tom and I originally got involved is IBM. So IBM has been as I said, a sponsor every single year for this and have really been the cornerstone of us being able to perform this competition on a regular basis. Now, next, as you may have noted, this year our theme was very driven by a lot of movements, especially through railways and people movers at the airport. And so next, we want to thank Alstom for all of their support this year. In addition to that, we have 3 sponsors who have provided some support to us, both financially as well as with some expertise, and that is Maltego, Google Cloud, and Batele. And in addition to them, we have 2 additional companies that have provided some additional financial support through Eventive and Paperclip. Now, additionally, I want to call out very specifically that Eventive has several of their employees that have also been volunteers over the last several years. So in addition to the financial contribution, they have made a contribution to allow their folks, giving them time to work on this, as well as giving them time to come to the competitions and understanding that even though we all work on this in our free time, it always bleeds over. And so in addition to that, the last group of sponsors that we want to talk about are all of our volunteer sponsors. These are all the organizations that we all work at that, again, have supported us both financially, but as well as personally, allowing each of the 40 or so volunteers that this year we've had to help us put this competition together have dealt with our tiers, our labs, and all of the excitement that we have, as well as dealing with us talking about it nonstop throughout the year.
Thank you, Lucas. So with that all covered on the sponsor side, we want to take a little bit to recap our regional events for CPTC9 and give you all a little bit of a deep dive into some of the insights behind us as competition organizers and all the work that goes into actually making the regionals happen. So with that said, I think I'm going to turn it over to you, Meredith, since you had a key part in making this all happen.
Certainly. So I interacted with every single team who went through the regional registration process, and thank you all so much for working with me. But we came into the registration season this year with one primary goal: accommodate every team that wanted to be able to compete, and then, of course, enable schools with less resources to be able to make it to a regional event. And the result was 100% of the teams who signed up on that form were able to participate, and we were able to accommodate them into a region. And that led to some really interesting situations, one of which was the birth of a new region, the SoCal region, hosted by Brandon Brown at Coastline Community College, which was a wonderful addition this year so that we could actually double the number of teams on the West Coast. And one of the very interesting things that we did as we were working to get all of these schools in and make sure that we had 100% of teams who were interested being able to participate was to shuffle teams around. And I personally called 25, so about 1/3 by the final numbers, of various coaches, and captains, other administrators at universities to see if we could shuffle teams around who had funding, which resulted in a very, very interesting map. And Tom, if you wouldn't mind.
Yeah.
Taking a look at the higher level, you'll see groups of colors that are the regions, and you'll see that those colors aren't all centered in one perfect area because we do have teams moving around in various areas. So you'll see blue teams scattered across throughout. You'll see a lot of purple scattered across throughout. Really, the only places they were truly, truly concentrated are over in the West, and there is still a little bit of overlap there. And we do want to call out a thank you to all of those coaches, captains, and universities who were willing to accommodate and able to make it happen so that we could have so many new teams into this competition this year and give more students a chance to compete, work with you all, work with all of us, and get more students in the industry interested.
And that's definitely something we're going to look to continue to do in the future. As we expand, there are a number of institutions that are looking to potentially host a new region next year. We're still working out details and can't make any formal announcements there yet, but we're so excited to see the growth of the organization and the competition. So it might be a case where we see some more travel shenanigans that have to happen for regionals, but our end goal is to make sure that we allow as many teams to be able to compete as possible and work within the restraints of, what everyone's able to accommodate. So thanks to all of the coaches who made this happen and the regional hosts who are accommodating and welcoming of teams outside their region.
If I'm correct, this is the first year that we didn't have a bunch of waitlisted schools at the end of the registration period.
Yeah. So we expect that we will handle registration very similar in the future because it allows us to do things like shift teams around to different regions to make sure that we can get that 100% coverage. And also, if you have friends that go to other schools, let them know so that they can continue to compete.
So let's talk about two really interesting numbers from the regional competitions this year. And these numbers that I'm going to pull up in a moment here are an aggregate from all regional events, including the at-large and the at-large and the international regions. So first of which is the number of notables that were sent to our SOC that internally we take a look at whenever the teams competing take a particular action that we're monitoring for. We had 734 of those unique events that our SOC and our volunteer team who monitors will investigate with in real time. And it really ended up averaging around 150 per region for the regions that had 10 teams. On average, we didn't see any interesting disparities there, but we do monitor a lot of different things very closely, and that's 734 individual notables that we're not handling through automation. That is our volunteers staring at our data, looking at exactly what you are doing.
So that's okay.
And then the other number we have on the screen there is 835. That's the number of times we've interacted with all of you wonderful people via ticket during the regional competitions this year. That's a large increase from what we saw last year. That is solely in-character interactions, nothing that is out of character regarding rules or any of the organization shifting we did when prepping for regionals. This is solely for in-character interactions, counting in NJAX and any times you all reached out to us during the competition. So that's, I would say, pretty standard. We also didn't see a significant increase in one region or one regional event to the next. But we do want to stress that that is something where all of our volunteers are interacting with you all through that. So taking a look at this number, we do ask that you remember that if we don't respond to something within 15 minutes, this is why. We are handling hundreds of tickets each event with a pretty small volunteering staff who are staying in character and interacting with you all.
And it's also worth noticing that sometimes when these things are happening, you might ask a question about something that we are planning on communicating to you otherwise. So in order to keep things consistent across all the regions, we have a plan for, okay, we're going to provide an additional clue potentially 3 hours later or something like that. You might be really quick to identify, hey, I need this information, send us a ticket within 15 minutes. But if we're planning to have that information relayed to all the teams at the same time across all the regions, we have to be able to accommodate that. So that's something sometimes teams might see as you're going through the event and how we handle those communications for specific technical things. Okay. So we'd like to once again recognize all of the regional winners. And these are the teams that have won the first place at their event and are guaranteed a spot to compete at global finals at RIT in January. And what I really love to see here is there's a lot of teams that have never won a region before that are going to be at finals for the first time, which is fabulous. Plus, we have a lot of returning teams as well, so I don't want to dismiss that as well. But the teams that are new, Indiana Tech, they've never won a region before, so that's awesome to see. U.S. Military Academy, West Point, they hadn't won a region before. And I think everyone else has been there before.
Yes.
But Princess Samaya, they're back again from Dubai. University of Texas, San Antonio, they won. University of Central Florida, they've been there before quite a few times. Stanford, Cal Poly, they have duked it out for the top spot. So we're excited to see them back as well. So next, we want to talk a little bit about global finals that are going to be happening at RIT. I see that there are some questions in the chat about what the dates are going to be there. January 12th through the 14th are the actual dates of the engagement. It's going to be Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. January 12th, the Friday, January 13th, the Saturday, January 14th, the Sunday. Now, in order to make this accurate, I'm going to take the RIT campus and cover it with snow because it's January in Rochester. So some of you might be able to experience snow for the first time, especially if you're coming from a place that doesn't traditionally get snow. But we are happy to welcome you. Rain, shine, snow, sleet, hail, whatever it's going to be, all of them at the same time, you might get to experience. Those of you who come from more northern climates like Cleveland, where we're broadcasting from, we're used to it. But for some of you, it might be new. But that is going to be something we are looking forward to. Lucas, I want to turn it over to you to talk about the dates and some of the details. Or are we, Ro? Or are we going to have Ro? Yep. We'll have you cover that. Thank you.
Hi, guys. So I'm just going to touch base with you about a few other key dates. So as you can see, November 28th, 2023 at 3 p.m., U.S. teams are expected to confirm acceptance. An email will be sent out as well with that. And then December 6th at 5 p.m., U.S. teams must show evidence of book travel. We're going to be really strict with deadlines this year, so make sure that you're taking a picture, taking a screenshot, watching this back, whatever you have to do to make sure you know those dates.
Yeah, and we're going to be very firm about these dates. In the past, I know we've been a little bit flexible, but we need to make sure that all of these dates are respected and we take care of, you communicate with us when we need things done, because otherwise we're going to have to offer your spot to another team.
And I guess just to kind of add on to this, so a couple of key pieces for things for those of you that are coming, both the teams that have are getting the wild card as well as the teams that have their first place spot. An email is going to be coming out here in the next day or so that will include all of the details. This includes the amount that RIT is going to be able to give to your school to help cover the cost of your travel. If that's not enough, please reach back out to us and let us know. But in the past couple of years, we've actually had a lot of issues where dates have slipped. And as such, our cost has gone up significantly because people waited to the last minute to buy flights, or there were issues logistically on getting everyone corralled, people coming in from different places. And so because of that, and because the competition itself has grown so significantly, we're a group of volunteers. So we have to make sure that we are getting this done while we all have time to handle it. But B, last year we significantly overshot our budget on what the flights were going to be, to the point that it was the single largest expense that we had in the entire competition. And so that's why, as Tom and Ro both said, we're going to have to be far more stringent about our dates. For those that are coming in from international, we've already reached out to you after the region. So you are good. We know about those additional dates. For those of you that are already in the United States, please be aware that these dates are very firm. So you can't wait to the last minute and ask for an extension. If you think you're going to need it, we need to know in the next couple of days. We do understand that this is a holiday week coming up next week in the United States, but this is where we have to be because we have had so many issues with this over the last 2 to 3 years.
Okay, thank you, Lucas, and thank you, Ro. So we want to just let everyone know who attends finals and what we expect there. So each team, you have your team competitors, you have your coach. We will be expecting every team to have one coach, which is their representative from the university, and their coach must attend the event and travel with the team. Additionally, up to 6 team members will be allowed to participate as well. This must come from the set of team members that are in the scoring system that you've submitted already as your roster. In terms of alternates are not able to travel to finals, and we can't have additional coaches come as well beyond the one coach that is your team's primary coach. So 2 simple numbers, 1 coach, up to 6 team members, no additional people. That is what we're looking to have at the finals event. Lucas, is there anything else you'd like to clarify there?
No.
Okay, perfect. Now for confirming acceptance, Shortly after this stream, to the teams that have earned their wildcard berth or already have their spot at finals, we'll be sending out an email with details of what needs to be done to confirm acceptance. The coach will need to reply to us to confirm attendance and the participation, and that is by the deadline that we just noted. We're going to ask for a breakdown of hotel room assignments for your team members, and by default, we're going to provide 4 hotel rooms, 1 for the coach and 3 for team members, with 2 team members per room. If there are circumstances where you need to have an additional hotel room based on your team's composition, reach out to us and we can work with you on that. But by default, 4 hotel rooms, 1 for your coach, 3 for your team members. And then also, we will want you to let us know of any dietary restrictions. We will do our best to accommodate dietary restrictions. We just can't guarantee any sort of preferences, potentially if there's something beyond like an allergy or something where we have to take care of that. So we ask to be flexible for that. We are trying to accommodate food for quite, several hundred people, and need to make sure that we have that taken care of in advance. For booking travel, we want everyone to plan to arrive in Rochester, New York before 8 p.m. Eastern Time on Thursday, January 11th. Like we did last year, we'll be checking in teams and giving you the information on Thursday night in order to make sure you have your team badges and we have your IDs checked and everything like that. If you can arrive a little bit before that, that would help our process, just because then we won't have to try to get everyone done at the same time. But we are going to do a similar thing as we've done in the past, where on Thursday night, we'll show up at your hotel, get you all checked in and ready to compete for Friday morning. Friday and Saturday are going to be your assessment phases of the event. And we are going to have you on the RIT campus basically all day doing the similar things that you've done, the assessment, working with the customer, doing the pen test. I believe we will be also planning a social banquet event on Friday night, similar to what we've done in the past. That'll be a mandatory attendance thing for everyone for your team. And that is something where you will have an opportunity outside of the competition, but in the context of still competing, to meet sponsors, meet the people who put this together, and socialize amongst each other, because we're all going to be professionals working together in the industry. Saturday, to continue the assessment, and on Saturday night, your reports will be due, your presentations will be due into the scoring portal or the submission form. We will provide details about that, obviously, going into the event. There will be presentations as well on Sunday. Teams will give a 10-minute executive presentation, and then we will also have the awards ceremony, our dev team presentation, and all of that. And our goal will be to release you to leave by 4 p.m. Eastern Time on Sunday, January 14th. So the arrival time, keep in mind, Thursday before 8 p.m. and Sunday after 4 p.m. are what we will look to do for travel. I mentioned presentations. So one of the things we want to announce is we just published on YouTube the CPTC9 global final presentations for all of the teams. And what this is a way for you to look at what previous competitors last year did. And you can see what teams did well, what teams could have improved upon. And as you prepare to compete in finals, we would encourage you all to review this so that you have a sense of what we've seen in the past. Could we post that link into the chat right now so the teams have that? It is in the speaker notes.
That we can certainly do.
Perfect. So a couple things to call out. You have 10 minutes to give this presentation. You can use the time frame however you want. And the 10 minutes is inclusive of anything around questions. If you want to leave time for questions, if you don't want to leave time for questions, that is all up to you. You get 10 minutes. Timer goes off at 10 minutes. You are dragged off of stage physically by me. Not quite. I don't want to actually do that, but you are asked to leave when your time runs out. So you want to make sure you're prepared for that. What we strongly encourage you is, you're competing at finals, practice ahead of time. Be prepared to be able to give a presentation. Work on your presentation skills, because we have a lot of executives. We'll have people from not only in character, that everyone's going to obviously be in character, but we have professionals who are going to be looking at you and your speaking ability from industry. So we're going to have people from Alstom there. We're going to have people from IBM, executives from various companies that are going to be there judging your presentation. So everything you can do to give the best presentation you can is going to be really key to being successful. And we often find is the team that gives the best presentation often finishes first or second. And presentation is a pretty big factor in the overall score. So to recap, 10-minute executive presentation, and you get to use that time however you want. And another thing we are encouraging very strongly is do not wear anything that would identify your school or university during the presentation or event. The idea here is we want to try to do everything we can to remove biases from people. And if you come in there wearing awesome looking jackets for your university, they're going to be like, oh, we know what school this is. And that can sometimes influence how people judge you when they're scoring. So we want to do everything we can to avoid that being a case. So we would encourage you to plan for that as part of the presentation. And also keep in mind your audience. You're presenting to executives. They are professionals in industry. And it is highly recommended that you treat this as a professional presentation and plan for that as you are packing for travel.
All right, that being said, let's open it up to Q&A. The first question we have is regarding travel budgets. Nizar is asking, when will the travel budget limits be announced, and will it be taking into consideration that different regions might have a higher travel budget or might request or might need one?
Yeah, that's something we're working through right now. Lucas, do you want to do a breakdown of kind of how we're doing that?
Sure, and we will be there. As I said earlier, there will be an email coming out here in the next about 24 hours to each team individually with information for you about what's coming. That'll be coming from RIT as the host. But the way we're doing this is looking at the distance that you're going to be traveling. So certainly we know that international teams, the budget there is significantly higher than, say, a school that's 5 or 6 hours away from Rochester, and will be able to hopefully drive in. So we are taking the distance into account, but we also understand that distance isn't the only indicator there. Sometimes, for example, a school may be in an area not close to a major airport, so you may have a connection, which additionally increases the cost of flights. We already have hotels. We've actually had those booked for a little under a year at this point. So really the biggest piece of this comes down to getting a rental van, covering mileage, or getting flights. Certainly flights are always our biggest cost, and so we understand that that's going to be yours as well, and we've really tried to take that into account.
Yeah, perfect.
All right, next question up. Are we permitted to get a sponsor for our team to cover any costs that are over the travel budget limit?
So potentially, yes. If you are looking for us as a university to, as RIT to sponsor that, I'm sorry, I'm not part of RIT. I work for somewhere else, but if you are looking for CPTC to sponsor that, let's have a conversation around it. If you have another, local company or something that's willing to do that, absolutely, by all means. In fact, we'd love to hear about it. And, in some cases, we may even be willing, depending on the situation, to add them into our sponsorship information, right? We want to make sure that they're getting full credit for that. So if that is something that you're able to do, that's amazing. And absolutely, you should very much feel comfortable in doing so.
All right, thank you, Lucas. All right, next up, what are the engagement dates exactly? Not the traveling ones, but for the active competition. Tom, I believe. Oh, sorry.
I
had the wrong dates on my internal calendar, so Lucas, you're going to do that.
Okay. So the competition itself, so as Tom said, we are asking everyone to be in by 8 p.m. Thursday the 11th. Friday, January 12th, that morning, we will begin the competition. There will be an introductory ceremony where we spend about 30 minutes with you all to recover the scope, to go over logistics for the day. This will be very similar to what you experienced at each of your regionals. You will have time then throughout that day to engage with the environment, much like you've done through each of the regional events that you've participated in. Now, that evening, we will be ending access into the environment. You do not keep access from Friday night to Saturday morning. The idea here is that, yes, you can do some research and other things, but we want to make sure that you all have the time to get some sleep. So then, Friday night, there will be a banquet. And then Saturday, January 13th, we will provide access back to you in the environment. Again, we'll meet for a much shorter time frame that morning, cover any updates or issues that we've noted from the first day. And again, you're going to get about another 8 to 9 hours into the environment. The final schedule there is to be determined, so it may be a little more, a little less, but it tends to be about 8 hours. Saturday night, we will release you all. There is no banquet, there's no dinner, there's nothing like that, so that you can go and begin to work on your report and on your presentation. So that report will be due, and the presentation, PowerPoint or PDF, whatever you're using, will be due at about the same time as it was for the region, sometime very late at night, so that, again, you have some time to sleep. Sunday morning, we will then have everyone together. We'll provide you breakfast, and what is going to happen is that each of you are going to give, for everyone that's coming to finals, are going to be giving a presentation. This will be in character, and it will be to members of the Kalka Memorial Airport from both a management and a technical perspective. Now, a couple things I want to hit on just again to make sure that we cover a second time is, as Tom mentioned earlier, you're going to be giving a presentation to the leadership of this organization. So you might want to consider bringing a polo or a suit or some sort of formal wear. Because my day job, I am a penetration tester. I work in cybersecurity consulting, and I will tell you, for a lot of these meetings, especially with executives, we do dress up. You don't have to, but you should consider that. Additionally, that morning, we're going to be using the PowerPoint that you created the night before. That will be due at the same time. So while you do have some time to practice, you should also get some sleep. You're going to be presenting one at a time to the same group of people. And during the rest of that time, you'll have time to socialize with other teams. And we have some other things that we're putting together for you. Again, at the end of that Sunday morning, again, that is Sunday, January 14th, round lunch, we will finish all of the scoring for presentations, for reports, for interactions, for injects, and all of the other things that we've done over the weekend together. And then we will have our final awards ceremony. So generally that will go till very early in the afternoon, at which point you can leave to get home. And we understand that some of you may need to leave early. If so, please let us know. We will do our best to work around that. But in general, we expect the presentation of awards to be in the early afternoon.
Right. Thank you very much, Lucas. Next question up. Is the scope going to be the same in finals, or will something be either changed or removed?
Okay, I'll cover that since no one jumped in for it here. So for all of you that are coming, the scope will be a little bit different. It's not going to be an entirely new environment, but the way I would look at it is, if you've done a penetration test or an assessment of an organization, when you finish, they take the time to go in and try and fix things. I have clients where we do these every 12 months, every 6 months, maybe every year and a half. And when we come back, we know that a lot of the things we saw before are still going to be there, but they're going to have been patched. They're going to have been updated. And the vulnerabilities won't be the same, even if the systems are. So in general, that's the same sort of thing that we are looking for finals. I would come into this assuming that the company and the client has fixed most of the issues. There may be new ones for you to come and evaluate, but you will still be seeing the same sort of systems and the same sort of network environment.
And just to give everyone a little bit of historical perspective on what we've done in the past, this is obviously varied based on the client, but some of the previous CPTC competitions, we've fixed nothing and added entire networks. We've remediated some of the issues and not all the issues. There was one year we fixed the top 40 issues that everyone competed, and then everyone got really mad at us on Friday when they couldn't get into anything. And we've fixed some of the severe issues and left some of them in there. It is varied every single year. So the best answer we can give you is you'll still be testing an airport and it will have very similar systems, but things may change.
All right. Next up, we have a question about adding another coach to the scoring portal. Tom?
Yeah, so you should already have a coach who is in the scoring portal. If you have a situation where the coach that you have designated as your university's representative is unable to travel for some reason, please open a ticket with us via the support.cp.tc portal, and we will work with you to get them replaced in the portal so that your coach is there. As a reminder, you do have to have a coach. They do have to travel with you to the event in Rochester. So, and we understand that, they have life that comes up. So there might be some issues where you might have to replace that person out with someone else to represent you and the university. But work with us and we will make sure that we can have the person who is able to come with you as your coach is able to access the information they need.
And thanks for asking that as well. We do have a follow-up that I know you did just answer, but just to confirm.
Yeah, I think that actually ties in really well. But yeah,
Yes.
So whoever is designated as the coach is who we are reaching out for communication, who's going to do things like confirming travel and confirming acceptance. So if you do replace the coach, they now take that role of being the person to communicate with us. So if you do have to change your coach, we need to make sure that they are up to speed on the fact that they'll be handling communications. So you are able to do that, we understand, but also last minute coach changes could create some communications issues that you need to be aware of. So we would strongly encourage you, if you do need to find someone else to be a coach, do that right away so that there's not an issue later with us triaging that.
Yep. Thanks, Tom. And then we do have one more coach question that was asked. Are we able to pay for an additional coach, or would they still not be allowed to attend?
Yeah, Lucas, I'll turn that to you.
So if this is something that you might be interested in doing, please submit a ticket. Generally, we want to have a conversation. We know that some schools are, there may be transitionary years or things that are happening where one coach is going to need to work with another. So we want to take those on a case-by-case basis. Generally, we prefer just to have one. Certainly from a cost perspective, we absolutely cannot, as an organization, pay for more than one. But if there is something where you or your institution or university is potentially willing to cover that cost, we are open to having the conversation, but we need to think through that basically we need to take that on a case-by-case basis and handle each of those individually.
All right. And then we've got one last question around coaches. What are they going to be doing during the finals while their teams are competing?
So there's a couple of things that coaches end up doing during finals. First and foremost, you are the representative and the liaison between us and the team. So if something happens where there's like a serious rules violation or a case where someone needs assistance from outside of the competition, you are the responsible adult that we will rely on for having those conversations and helping us as organizers. So you're responsible for the students on your team and making sure that they arrive safely and have everything work out properly during the event. That said, we also have opportunities for coaches during the event. Coaches will be meeting with other coaches so that they can discuss different trends in industry, things they see of professionals at both of the regions I was at in New England and also Great Lakes. Meredith and I, we stepped aside and talked to the coaches for over an hour at both of them and got some really great feedback, and we're able to provide advice about things we see as professionals and how it ties into the events. So there'll be opportunities to interact with a bunch of us as well as organizers. And then we also give coaches the ability to attend the team's presentation in the back of the room. Obviously, you can't coach the team in any way, but to be able to see your team present live is also something that you have the opportunity to do. Lucas, is there anything I'm overlooking?
No. No, we are potentially also similar to how we were able to last year. We have a sponsor that is potentially interested in coming and providing some technical training for the coaches. Again, we're still working through that process. So no promises and nothing that we can announce at this time, but we are hoping to make that work again as well, as we got a lot of very good feedback for it and thought it was very successful.
All right, excellent. Next question. Will previous year's reports also be released now that we have released the presentation?
That is the goal. We still have to go through the process of redacting some of those. We started it. We realized that time frame wise, we were not going to get done in a way that would be fair to all of the teams for regionals. So we are looking to release that before finals. But it is something that there's a lot of volunteer hours that goes into that. And quite frankly, we have had other priorities around making this year happen that have taken precedence. So we're going to try to do that soon to get those out, at least the finals reports from last year, so that teams can have an example of that. That said, all of the previous year's ones exist, and we are looking forward to using those as well as a guide.
All right, next comment up. Does the team composition have to be the same as it was in the regional competition?
So yes and no, I think is the right way to answer that. The roster that you submitted in the scoring portal, including your 6 members and 2 alternates, is the group that we would look for you to pull from. If you need to change your team composition due to potentially an alternate not being able to or not an alternate, but a full team member not being able to travel to Rochester, we can accommodate that switch, open a ticket, and that is something that we would be able to do for you. However, if you want to add an entirely new student to the team, that's something that we are not looking to accommodate.
All right, thank you so much, Tom. All right, next question is, would it be okay for some teams to arrive later than 8 p.m. on the 11th, the Thursday before? Looks like flight schedules have been cut down substantially, and it looks impossible or extremely expensive to arrive before that time frame.
So for that sort of thing, we would ask is look at what options you have available, open a ticket, and explain the circumstances to us. And we can try to figure out what approach works best. The thing I want to call out is we need to make sure everyone is in Rochester in time to get all the information that they need, and also to allow us to start the event on time on Friday, which is why we're having that that evening cutoff for Thursday. We have seen cases where if a flight gets delayed or even canceled, we don't want a team to be in a situation where they miss an entire day of the competition, because it makes it virtually impossible for us to have a fair opportunity for that team to compete without negatively impacting all the other teams that are there. So if arriving early enough on Thursday is a potential challenge for your team, reach out to us and we'll figure out what that looks like and how we can make sure that we give you the best opportunity to meet what we need, but also minimize some of the costs for your team and school.
Can I add something?
Yeah.
Just make sure, as we're talking about flights and the fact that flights are substantially cut down for January 2024, I just want to remind you guys of those dates again. It's really important that you let us know you're coming and then start looking at booking now to make sure that you can accommodate the timelines of the dates that we are providing. So that's just my friendly reminder. Dates are important this year. Hopefully you took a picture, and hopefully we'll see you on time.
Yeah, and there's nothing that means you have to wait till the last day to say you're coming and book flights. So once you send that email that says, hey, we've confirmed our spot, you can go book flights immediately. And that would be something we would even strongly encourage, because costs do go up as time goes on.
And we can confirm the earlier you do that, the happier we will be, as we have made those deadlines as flexible as early as possible to accommodate schools who have finals that last week of December before everything shuts down. So it's always important to get that information in and have your university work with that before, everybody essentially goes on a month-long break. Next up, for teams who need an alternate to step in at regionals, who would be the person expected to be traveling to Rochester?
So the students that are going to arrive in Rochester are going to be the 6 that you're planning on competing. So if you have an alternate that you're looking to replace, that needs to be a change you make before you're booking travel, so that that team member has a flight paid for and has a hotel reservation made by us. And the other team member that is removed from the 6 team members, they now become an alternate. They're not going to come to Rochester. So keep that in mind. And we are only expecting you to show up with 6 team members and 1 coach. And you can have less than 6 team members. You cannot have less than 1 coach.
They cannot have more than 16 members.
Yes, you cannot have more than 6 team members. And your alternates, unfortunately, they can't show up. They have to stay home.
Can you expand a bit more on using our own notes and if we are permitted to log into Notion or another third-party tool at finals? So I can handle this one directly.
Yeah.
Everything you want to have available online must be put in your approved and public CPTC GitHub Team Tools repo. If your team does not have one already, please open a ticket and we will get one created for you. We will communicate details about when you are no longer permitted to make any changes to those repositories, both in terms of members and any changes made to the files or tools themselves within the repo. You are not permitted to log into anything private, such as Notion, even if it is publicly available. If you wish to have things brought in via paper, you can do that, but it cannot be online or private. As I said earlier, our monitoring team had 735 notables that we were looking for competition integrity infractions during the regional events. We do monitor that very closely, so no external access is permitted.
That's very well said.
It's just mean.
If you need something that you want to be able to access the event, put it on your GitHub repo. If you don't have a GitHub repo, ask us, we'll create one.
Will teams be booking and purchasing airfares through RIT this year and be reimbursed, or is that being handled another way?
Lucas, I'm going to hand that to you because there's very specific wordage and I will screw it up.
So essentially, I know last year RIT handled all of the booking of the flights. This year, we are going back to a situation that is very similar to how we did it the years before, which is you will book your own flights and then RIT will provide reimbursement. An email is coming from the university that will contain more details around that, as well as kind of where we've budgeted things at. But again, that really comes from RIT, so they have some of their own numbers, and you should see that from Dr. Justin Pelletier here in the next day or so. We know that it is a holiday coming up, so it's also a short time frame, but we've tried to build in some time there, knowing that there are bureaucracies that we're going to have to move through for that.
Thank you, Lucas. Can I bring physical notes if they are not in the public GitHub?
Short answer, yes. The details about what you're able to bring are laid out in the rules, and printed documentation is something that is allowed. So if you don't want to have something on the public GitHub, you're welcome to bring in physical notes. Obviously, the trade-off there is it's not publicly available for all the teams to see, but you have to type it in. So depending on how efficient you are with keyboarding, go for it. But the GitHub idea there is we're allowing you to make it easier to get code and configurations in there. It's just something you have to enable all the teams to be able to see.
All right, we have some critical comments in the chat here about the fact that they haven't seen croissants this year. Do we have croissants this year?
Yes, duh.
I feel like there's always croissants.
We're legally, federally, whatever, required to have croissants as part of this competition. So if you haven't found them yet, you just start looking hard enough.
For those of you that have not competed before, croissants have become a meme for this competition. We don't know. We do know why. Someday we may tell the story. For now, just note, we love buttery, flaky bread.
That we do.
Did we miss any questions?
We did not miss any questions.
Sweet.
Well, I think it's time, and we are just about on time. So,
Yes, this is when we start doing like the drum roll sound.
yes.
So I'm just gonna like
No. I'm going to murder everyone's ears.
Can I just shout out a comment real fast?
Yeah.
Whoever just said the FDA and that now FFA have required the addition of croissants in the airport. Yeah, I think we're gonna go with that.
All I'm going to ask is that you need to cite the specific line in their requirements in order for that to be considered a finding. So the team will make sure that that information is covered. So I think I have this all on one slide. So
You in fact do.
are we going to just start naming off schools or just dump the slide in there? Or how do we want to do this?
Just do it, Tom.
Okay.
Click the
So
button.
wild, it's the wild
I'm gonna
card.
click the button. Everyone's gonna go wild, and then the number of people watching the stream is gonna go from like 100 something to like 2. But without further ado, your 15 finalists, including your 8 wildcard winners for CPTC 9.
Oh.
Yeah, Cal Poly Pomona.
Go, Tom.
No, Cal Poly Pomona. This is also alphabetical order, sorted by Excel, like 2 seconds before the live stream started. So we were doing the scoring up until then. But Cal Poly Pomona, California State University Fullerton, Dakota State University, Fullerton College, Indiana Institute of Technology, Liberty University, Princess Sumaya University, Stanford University, University of Central Florida, University of Florida, University of Massachusetts at Amherst, University of Texas at Austin, University of Texas at San Antonio, University of Tulsa, and U.S. Military Academy West Point.
Excellent.
So congratulations, everybody.
Woo, you did it.
To be clear, Tom, we finished scoring a long time ago. We were just making the slides.
You just didn't tell me.
That's what it comes down to. Congratulations, everybody.
Yes, congratulations to all the teams.
Yes. And we are looking forward to seeing all 15 of you. Actually, more than 15 of you. 15 times 6 plus 15 of you at Rochester soon.
All 90 of you we are looking forward to seeing here in just a couple of months. As we mentioned, the deadlines are information is coming in an email, including all of the deadlines to the coach for each of these 15 universities. There are also a couple of the top others in the wild card. We are going to be reaching out in the event that we need an alternate, just in case someone does not meet a deadline. We'll be reaching out to you as well. Please note that if you are one of those alternates, the odds, we've never needed one before, but we want to communicate to you to make sure that you're aware just in case you are needed very quickly. With that, unless anyone else has any other thoughts or questions, just want to thank everybody. We are looking forward to seeing you. For those of you that are not on this list, please note that there were a lot of very close competitions this year. And we go through, and as part of our scoring, we score each region individually. But then we have a second group of people that go through and rescore all of the reports. Now, some of them have already scored them all because they're involved in every weekend, like Meredith and Tom. Others specifically do it just for this at-large wildcard grading process. So that is why you may see some things change from place to place. But we have a group of people that very specifically spent a lot of time over the last 3 days making sure that we had statistically significant numbers to be able to do the wildcard grading. We are really looking forward to seeing all of you, both at finals as well as part of the competition next year. If you have feedback for us or thoughts, please don't hesitate to send us a ticket or let us know. Otherwise, congratulations to all of the winners, and we will see all of you soon. Finally, at the end of finals, we will be streaming our closing ceremonies. And while we haven't been able to answer a lot of technical questions for you now, at the final ceremonies, we will be willing to answer anything. At that point, there is nothing that we are willing to hold back. So if you are not coming to finals and you have questions, we will be creating a space for you to place those as well. And there will be a YouTube stream, so you can certainly also ask them in the comments there when the time comes. Thank you all. Meredith, Tom, Ro, any additional thoughts?
No, just congratulations on all of you, whether you won or not, whether like I said, whether you want or not, you are choosing to invest in your future and being active in like learning more, growing your education, networking. And that to me, for all of you, is amazing because you're going to need it as soon as you hit the real world.
And I will say that, yes, we understand that there are only so many teams that can win, only so many teams that can make it to finals. But the real thing that keeps me, Meredith, Lucas, Rowe, everyone else on the team coming back year after year, dedicating all the time we do to make this event happen is the educational experience and value we try to deliver to everyone. So what you learn along the way, the friendships you build here, the professional connections, the experience, that's really what makes CPTC special and why we keep on doing this for Lucas and me, 9 years. It's been a long time. We don't get a lot of sleep when this happens, but it is a real joy to see you all in the workforce and benefiting from CPTC.
We've been doing this for 10 if you count all the planning.
That's true.
First year.
And then the only thoughts from me are if you are a graduating senior and moving on out into the real world, we would love to have you join our wonderful, crazy band of volunteers. So once you have graduated, please do not hesitate to fill out the volunteer interest form. We love to have former competitors on the team. I think we've got a pretty hefty baseline of former competitors now. I know I myself am one, but we would love to have you all working with us to help grow this event and grow the regions as well. But thank you all. It's been wonderful to work with all of you through tickets and through Discord. I've probably been the one primarily handling your comms and tickets. So thank you all for being patient with me. And it's been wonderful to learn with you all as well. And that being said, it is 5 o'clock Eastern. We'll see you in Springfield.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.